Now, let me explain something to you about America's United Nations debt game. It's a nation that pays to control but not to contribute. So what I mean by that is the United States loves to boast about its financial contributions to the United Nations, painting itself as the backbone of global diplomacy. But the truth is it's a delinquent payer. They're late. It's unreliable and perpetually in arrears. So based on its gross national income, the United States of America should be covering 27% of the UN's regular budget. But over 30 years ago, the Congress conveniently capped the contribution at 25%, ensuring the United Nations would always be shortchanged. And what about that reduced amount? America seldomly pays that reduced amount in full or on time. And the result of that is the United Nations is constantly left scrambling, forced to function with a financial noose around its neck. Meanwhile, America's so-called contributions serves more as leverage than support, doled out strategically to manipulate global decisions. It's not funding, it's control. So take January last year, 2024. The United States was 3 years behind on its payments, on the verge of losing its voting rights. But when the moment came to act, America made a partial payment, not to uphold the UN's mission, not to support global stability, but to secure its veto against the ceasefire on behalf of Israel. Now, this isn't leadership, it's ransom. America isn't the United Nations' biggest financial supporter. It is its biggest hostage taker. Think of it as a mafia operation where US citizens are forced to pay protection fees through taxes, yet their government delivers nothing but global instability in return. And the truth is clear. America doesn't fund the UN to strengthen it. It funds just enough to keep it under control while dodging its own obligations to the world. Now, invoking Article 6 isn't about being extreme. It's about doing what makes sense. It's unprecedented, yes, but necessary. And here's why it matters for the average Americans. Right now, every paycheck that you earn is chipped away to fund a system that isn't working for you. The United States pours over $6 billion into the military-industrial complex, a well-oiled machine that thrives on war, not to protect you as an American citizen, not to keep you safe, but to keep defense contractors and politicians rich. Because here's the truth, wars are not started for your freedom, they started for profit. And you're the one paying for it with your tax dollars. That $6 billion keeps the United States empire running, an empire that relies on war profiteering and global dominance, but without the corruption of the United Nations acting as its shield. That empire starts to shrink. And when it shrinks, so does its grip on your paycheck. Now imagine if even a fraction of that money was used for something else. For example, homelessness. In some parts of America, being homeless is a crime. Sleeping on the streets is illegal. Setting up a tent is illegal. Accepting food, illegal. And many of the people affected are veterans, men and women who were sent to fight wars, promised honor and security only to go back home to nothing. Now, criminalizing homelessness violates Article 25 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which guarantees the right to shelter. Yet cities like Los Angeles and New York enforce policies that punish survival. Now, instead of funding endless wars, that money could go into affordable housing and mental health support, but it doesn't. Your health care. America is the only wealthy nation where getting sick can bankrupt you. 55% of Americans struggle to afford health care, and for those over 65, that number jumps to 71%. Meanwhile, billions are funneled into war while families have to choose between rent and medical bills. If America truly prioritized its people, basic health care wouldn't be a luxury. Crime prevention. Between 1982 and 2024, America experienced at least 151 mass shootings. The crime rate keeps rising, yet the focus remains on wars overseas instead of safety at home. Now, you can compare America's crime stats to a country like Indonesia, and the stats clearly shows that the violent crime America experiences in 1 week is equivalent to what Indonesia experiences in a single year. This is highly concerning. There are more stats and more violations that the average Americans experience within the borders. So, which shows you that the American government not only violates the charter across, in other parts of the world, but also within its own borders. Now, what if instead of pouring billions into foreign conflicts, those funds were used to actually fix problems, And that also brings us to American exceptionalism. For decades, you've been told that America is the greatest country on earth, that it's different, special, above the rules. But real greatness isn't about dodging accountability. International law isn't a threat, it's protection. It ensures fairness. It holds governments accountable, not just citizens. But the reality is the American government doesn't love you. It loves the oligarchs. Look at Congress, a room filled with millionaires and lobbyists. These people don't care about your rent, your medical bills, or whether your child has a future. Now imagine you're sitting at a table, handing over your paycheck every month, but instead of spending it on your family's needs, it's used to buy weapons for a fight that you didn't start and you don't want it. And while the world moves on, America is falling behind. The ones being left behind aren't the billionaires in Congress. It's you, the everyday citizen, struggling to keep up in a system that takes and takes but never gives back. That's why the Article 6 campaign matters, because it's time for you to break free. Sign the petition, share the message, and start demanding a country that works for you, not just for a few. Because Article 6, international law, also protects your rights as an American citizen.